This fully coincides with international law. When the case of Kosovo arose, my colleagues told me this was a particular kind of case, what experts in international affairs call casus sui generis. Each case of recognizing is by its nature a separate case. The special case of Kosovo, a special case in South Ossetia and Abkhazia. We speak about our situation. It's quite obvious that the adoption of our decision is aimed to prevent genocide and annihilation of an entire nation, and to help them to come to their feet. For 17 years, the struggle has been going on for independence of these two non-recognized peoples. In the course of this period, despite all attempts by the international community, nothing was made possible. We practically, until the recent period, tried to help them to restore state unity, but it did not happen. The last nail into this was driven when the decision to start an aggression was made. And that is why, in these conditions, the only way to preserve this people was to recognize as subjects of international law and to recognize their state independence. That is why our decision is based on international law, on the UN Charter, on the Helsinki Declarations, and other international documents.
Is Russia ready for the consequences of this decision that can result in a long and tough confrontation with the world leading powers? Aren't we afraid of the possibility of the new Cold War?
We are not afraid of anything, of the prospect of a Cold War. Of course, we don't want that. In this situation, everything depends on the stand of our partners and the world community and our partners in the West. If they want to preserve good relationships with Russia, they will understand the reason for passing such a decision, and the situation will be calm. But if they choose a confrontational scenario, we will be responsive.
You've signed the 6 principles. One of them presupposes the pullout of Russian armed forces from Georgia. But even now, Russia is still being accused of not following on its responsibilities. Is it true that Russian armed forces are still present on Georgian territory?
That's not right. Russia has its obligations stemming from the 6 principles of the so-called Medvedev-Sarkozy agreement. They have been fully fulfilled. Our troops have been out of Georgia except for the security lane.
There is a pre-election campaign in the USA underway. Both candidates have made quite a few statements on Russian actions in Georgia. Do you think that this situation is becoming a tool in the political struggle in the US?
Well, as far as I know, usually during the elections in the United States of America, the voters are quite indifferent to what is happening abroad. But if one of the candidates manages to use this question, well, then Godspeed, so as they say. But they must observe international law. Each of the candidates is spinning the situation for themselves. Such are the rules of the election campaign.